Hello, it's Nereida Cruz. Thank you for attending the recent training with me. I hope you enjoyed it and I hope you got a lot of value from it. Since I held the training, a lot of people who were a part of it had been writing via email and they've been saying, Nereida, the training was awesome, but I have a couple of questions, and they listed them. They shared their questions and problems, and as I was going through all of the emails and responding to them one by one, I realized there was a trend among the emails, a pattern. And today I will be going through these questions. This training is called Dying Vision to Radiant Reality. What I found was they were pretty much asking these big three questions. Number one was talking about the niche and how they're unsure about it or they don't have a niche. Number two is they feel they don't have skills or their skills are not good enough. And number three is not feeling like they're good enough. A lot of people are saying, Nereida, I want to scale in my entertainment and education business, but I just don't know if my niche is a good one. I'm not sure if it is. And if it's not, I don't know what my niche should be. That's problem number one. Some people come up with an idea for a niche, but they don't know if it's good enough to start a business within the entertainment or education industry, or if it's good enough to scale their business. They have some uncertainties about the niche and what they have come up with. That's problem number one, and I'm going to be addressing that in this video today. I'm going to be solving this for you, so if you have this problem, good news. This video is going to be able to help you out. Then we have problem number two, which is a lot of people have been telling me, Nereida, I want to scale my entertainment and education business, but I don't think I have enough skills. I don't think I have skills that will actually enable me to go out and scale my business to get me to break through so I can start making more money. Or, Nereida, I have some skills, but I'm not sure if they're good enough for me to stay competitive and to actually get a whole lot more clients and get them to pay me more money. Those are very good questions. So number two is people are not sure about their skills, and I'm going to be solving this one as well. And then we have the third question, and it was really around people not feeling good enough. A lot of people wrote and said, Nereida, I really want to scale my own entertainment or education business. I have an idea of what I want to do, but I don't think I'm good enough to be able to actually go out there and market and get people to pay me money. I don't think I'm good enough to be able to make a lot of money doing it. These are all very good questions, and a lot of people were writing, and I was responding to these questions one by one, and I thought, I'm sure a lot of people have thought these questions also. So I decided to present this in this training video. I'm going to solve these problems for you now. So this is going to be a full training video, pure information, and is going to be really good. So make sure you take some notes here. Let's start off with question number one, no niche. This is if you are unable to come up with an idea for your niche, or you have a niche and you're not sure if it's good enough to scale your entertainment or education business. Let's talk about your niche. On the training, you would have noticed I have a special framework and a method for figuring out what your niche is, and I'm going to go over this again. We have three circles, and it's industries that you know, have been a part of, or are a part of. The next one is the marketplace, what their needs and desires are, and the third one is the skills you have. This is the diagram I shared with you, and on the training I got you to come up with different industries that you know. There's no wrong or right answer here. When you're completing this exercise, a lot of people tend to overthink and really overanalyze it. You just want to list down some industries that you know. Don't overthink it there. There's no wrong or right answer. So you don't have to be an expert in these. You don't have to have worked in them or nothing like that. But you could have worked in the industries, or you might have passion for a particular industry, or your parents might have worked in an industry. Maybe your friends might have worked in the industry, in a certain particular industry. Everyone on the face of the earth is familiar in some way, shape, or form with a couple of different industries. Just write them down. In the second circle is the market's needs and desires. Now, this is the most important one out of all three of them, and it's quite interesting that a lot of people think the skills you have is the most important thing, but it's not, and I can tell you why in just a moment. The most important out of all three is the market's places, needs, and desires. These are the problems, fears, and aspirations and desires that people have within that particular market. What you do is, I will use janitors for example. Let's say you come up with an idea for an industry because let's say your father worked in that industry and you know a little bit about it. Let's say this is your idea for an industry and the market needs and desires. You might do some research online, you might look around, you might email a few janitors, you might ask if you can call them on the phone and just ask them some questions for 5 or 10 minutes. You might do some market research into this industry of janitors and find out what their problems are. What do they want? We find out what people want. This is the most important thing of all. And I did this when I started. I did research in this industry and I found most of the people wanted yearly commercial contract customers. Now, everyone just thinks that janitors just want more customers, and that's because they haven't done any research. But I talked to some of them and I found they wanted yearly commercial contracts because those jobs are easy for them to do, fast, and they're very profitable. So they want more of those jobs and they don't want one-time jobs. And I uncovered this in an evening's worth of research. So when we speak to the market, we find out what they want. They want yearly commercial cleaning jobs. Now we have a janitor industry. We figured out what they want, and it's yearly commercial jobs. Now the final thing we have here is the skills you have. So you start by writing down different skills you have. You might be good at Excel. You might be good at marketing. And you just keep jotting down what you're good at. There's no right or wrong answer here, remember. Then what you want to think about at this stage is, okay, I have an industry. I have a problem I can fix in the industry. How can I solve that problem with the skills I have? That's the question you want to ask. Can I solve this problem with the skills that I have? If you can solve the problem with the skills you have, awesome. You have your niche. You have it, and that's the perfect overlap here in the middle. But if you don't have the skills to solve this problem, it doesn't matter either because you can always acquire those skills, and you can acquire skills very easily when you know exactly what niche you're working in. A lot of people massively overthink and overestimate the amount of things they need to know in order to add value to people and make money. The truth is, when you're a generalist and you try to help everyone solve any problem, you need a wealth of knowledge. You need a lot of it, more than a human being can possibly acquire. If you're just out there and you're saying, I'm an entertainer or educator and I help people solve anything, of course you're going to need to be a complete genius to be able to do that. And the truth is, most people can't do that. You can't learn that much information. You certainly can't store that much information. So you end up not being good at helping people, and you end up being a generalist, entertainer, or educator and not really making any money and eventually going broke. That's why it's so important to be specific and have a niche. The truth is, you don't need this massive wealth of knowledge and skills. You only need enough skills and enough knowledge to solve a specific problem for a specific industry. And this is the beauty of this business. So if janitors want yearly commercial jobs and right now I'm just good at Excel, that might not be good enough. And that doesn't mean we just give up. We think, how can I acquire this knowledge? How can I learn to solve this problem? And I have a very special process for acquiring this particular information. What I do is I go out and I think, has anyone else in the world solved this problem? Is there a single janitor in the face of the earth who figured out how to get yearly commercial jobs? And the answer is pretty much always yes. Someone has always figured out the answer to most things these days. And what I do is, instead of giving up because I don't have the skills, and instead of being overwhelmed because I think it's going to be too hard to figure that out, I think, has someone else in the world figured this out? And I start researching it in different departments, and I look at janitors in America, I look at janitors in Mexico, Germany, or France. I look all over the world and I think, who has solved this problem? Who has figured out how to get yearly commercial jobs? And eventually, in that same evening, not even one day, I will figure out who has solved this problem. Once I can identify who solved this problem, I want to know what they're doing to solve it, and then I want to learn what they're doing and acquire that skill for myself and really figure that out. Once I have it figured out, I can add that skill to my skill set. So a lot of people think you need to have the skills currently, and don't get me wrong, it is a bonus if you do have the skills, but most of the time you don't. When I got started, I didn't have the skills necessary in order to solve the problems. When most people get started in jobs or businesses, they don't currently possess the skills needed to solve the problems, and that's why it's important to understand we can learn these skills. We can acquire these skills as we talk to people, as we walk the path, and a lot of people get overwhelmed because they think they need to know all these different things. I'm telling you, it's not very hard to figure out how to solve one particular problem and acquire those skills. We're not talking about a lot of work here. And once you can do this, once you have found an industry, once you have done some research and found out what their problem is, and once you have gone out and done some research on how to solve this problem and acquire the knowledge and skill set, you're going to be very dangerous as an entertainer or educator. And this is when you have all these three things perfectly aligned. When you have all these three things perfectly aligned, this spot here in the middle with the arrow, the perfect overlap of all three of these things, this is where you're going to be most potent and most powerful. This is when you're going to be able to build a really strong and profitable entertainment or education business. And if you can do this, if you have a specific niche, if you found out what their problem is, and if you know how to solve it, there's no way possible for you to not make a whole lot of money doing this. This is what the world of business is about, and everyone gets it wrong. Everyone thinks you have to be a genius and have to be unique, and you have to come up with new things, and you have to have new ideas, and you have to have a huge amount of knowledge on a huge amount of different topics. And that really couldn't be any further from the truth. The world rewards specialists, and I'll show you a diagram which will really drive this point home for you. Let's say this is your skills and your knowledge here. This is what most people in most businesses and most entertainers and educators do. They develop a broad range of skills that don't go very far. This is what most entertainers and educators' skills and knowledge look like. But that's a generalist. That's a well-rounded person. That's a well-rounded entertainer or educator, but they're generalist. They might know a whole lot of different things, but if they go and try and help janitors get more yearly commercial customers, they're not going to know what to do. So really, this is being phased out in the world. Generalists aren't getting anything anymore. This is the future of the world and the future of entertainers and educators, and is just having one skill mastered and getting away from being a generalist and become a specialist instead. So what's really interesting is you might think, well, that's a lot of work. It's really hard to do. If you actually add up all of those different arrows, which I had facing up, if you add them and connect them, you would actually have the same length arrow. A lot of people think it's really hard to be really good at one thing. The truth is, it's actually easier. It's easier to be really good at one thing than it is to be okay at a whole lot of different things. And that's why it's so important to pick a niche. That's how this process really works. I also noticed when people were writing, they hadn't figured out what their niche was, and a lot of people thought you needed to have your niche selected before you join the Affluent Mentor program, and it's not true. And the fact is, 80% of people who join the Affluent Mentor program do so and pick their niche or change niches when they start the program. You might be thinking, that's a bit weird, why would they do that? Well, it's very hard to pick a niche. If you give a human being a lot of options and a lot of choices, they often overanalyze things. They get overwhelmed and they end up kind of being paralyzed and not being able to make a move and just worry. And that's what happens when you go to pick your niche. So many different options, so many different choices, and what if you choose the wrong one? Well, most people aren't able to pick a niche on their own, and the truth is that 80% of the people who join the Affluent Mentor program do so without having their niche selected. And that's why the whole week 1 in the Affluent Mentor program is dedicated to helping you pick your niche. If people were able to pick their niche before joining, then it wouldn't be a module in the training and most people would not be generalists. There would be no point of me teaching it. But the reason why it is a whole module is because no one is really able to figure this out and they can't figure it out on their own. Picking your niche takes a bit of work. It takes some critiquing. It takes a process. You need to follow a proven process instead of just going out and trying to do it on your own. And week 1 in the Affluent Mentor program is dedicated to helping you pick your niche. You enroll, and in the very first 7 days, we take you through a specific process to figure out what your niche is, because the niche is really the foundation on which your entertainment and your education business is set on. It's going to be built on this, and it's just like if you build a house on some bad foundations. If you build a house on sand, it doesn't matter how good the house looks, it's going to fall over. So it's the same thing with your entertainment and education business. It doesn't matter if you're really good at marketing, sales, or if you're really skilled at what you do. If the foundation in which you build this business is bad, the whole thing is going to fall over. It's so important to get this right. In the first 7 days of the Affluent Mentor program, we get this figured out. We get it dialed in for you. And like I said, many people join without having this figured out. So if you're having to think and you're thinking, I can't join Affluent Mentor until I have my niche, that is not true. You can absolutely join the program and we will get your niche figured out. You must have to just trust the process. The second question people have was they didn't feel they had any skills or the right skills, or they have some skills but they think, I'm not sure if I'm good enough to actually charge people money and scale and build a business around this. Let's talk about skills. A lot of people think your skills are the most important thing out of everything, and that's not true. The most important thing is the marketplace needs, desires, and problems. That is the most important thing out of everything. And a really good way to drive this point home for you is with this example. Here we have Sophia. Sophia is turning in papers in college and she's in USA. She's turning in papers in her English class and she's failing the class. Her teacher is giving her an F. Well, Sophia still knows how to speak English. She can speak English. She can go out and talk to people. She can do things, but she's failing the class. It's at an exam level, and her teacher is pretty much telling her she's no good at English. In this current marketplace, Sophia is considered a failure in English. She's failing the class and she's not very good. So here in her current marketplace, she's considered a failure and is not going anywhere. But then imagine Sophia decided to move to China and build a business teaching Chinese people how to speak English. Well, in this case, she will be able to build like a $1 million or more business teaching English. Did her skills change at all? They haven't. Sophia's skills are the same, and in USA they're considered to be a failure. Sophia's skills in USA market is considered worthless, and she could not really build a business there doing that. But if Sophia takes her skills and she moves them into a different marketplace, she's able to be wildly successful and actually make a whole lot of money doing it. But what has changed? I mean, Sophia's skills haven't changed. The only thing that changed is the marketplace, and really what's changed is the problems and desires of the market. And this really drives my point home about your skills are not the most important thing. It's the marketplace's problems and desires that are the most important thing. So, in the US, especially when you're at the college level, when you do an exam in English at the college level, they want the best of the best, and they really want people to become academics and to really take English as far as they can possibly take it. That's really what they want. But in China, people just want to learn how to speak it. So the problem in China is not the same as the problem in college. The problem in China is a lot more painful, and there's a lot more desire in China for people to be able to learn English and speak it. However, in US, there is not a huge desire for it because most people already have it figured out. So in Affluent Mentor and in business, it's pretty much everything in the entire world. It's not a question of how good your skills are. It's a question of, are they good enough to solve the problems the people have? A lot of people think they have to be an actual genius. If someone said, how good do you have to be able to make $1 million teaching people English? Most people would respond with, you would have to be Shakespeare. You have to be the best English person in the entire world because everyone knows how to speak English and no one's really going to pay money to learn how to speak it. That's in USA marketplace, but it's very different in China. People are willing to pay a fortune just to learn how to speak English. So once again, it's not a question of how much of a genius you are with your skills. It's a question of, can you solve the marketplace's problems? That's why we use this model. We have your industries, we have your desires, and then we have your skills. When you find the problem, it's not a question about whether your skills have to be expert status and world godly status. It's a question of, can you solve this problem for this market or not? If you can solve the problem, if you can help the person, then you have enough skills to start and scale a widely profitable entertainment or education business. You will be able to make a lot of money doing this. This is the power of all of this. You don't need to be godly. You don't need to go and get your MBA or go to Harvard. You don't need to sit down and read 1 million books. You don't need to do any of that. You just need to have enough skills to solve the problem. A lot of people might think, in order for Nereida to make this much money with her entertainment and education business, she must be a genius. And well, that's really not true at all. I'm bad at many things. But I put all my effort and all my time into one specific thing, and that's helping entertainers, educators, and service businesses get clients. And I just put all my thought, all my attention, and all of my effort into that one thing, and I've been able to figure it out. I've been able to find a proven process and really become the best in the world at teaching that thing. And it didn't take me very long. It was surprisingly easy to do, and the rewards have been insane. A lot of people think you need to be a genius at different things, and it just isn't true. Now, the third problem a lot of people have, and what they were thinking is, I don't know if I'm good enough. I can't imagine myself going out and scaling that business and getting clients and then those clients actually paying me the money I would really want. The third question was not being good enough. This is a big one, and first of all, I want to tell you that it's absolutely normal. You're feeling this and you're experiencing this. Whenever someone goes to try to do something new or something challenging, they are faced with this. They are faced with uncertainty and fear because your brain is trying to protect you and it doesn't want you to go out and do these things. It can create excuses for you, so you can just ignore it and leave it alone. This way you can remain comfortable and in your little spot where you are now. But the truth is, if you don't confront this fear, if you never step out and try, you will never go anywhere. And in order to get any success, you always have to face some fear. And this one is a big one for most people starting out in the entertainment and education business. They think, I'm not sure if I'm good enough. I'm not sure if my skills are good enough. And I can't really imagine people paying me money to do things for them. What I want to do right now is just address this. The best way I can really address this is with saying something that I call the power of self-appointment. So, the power of self-appointment is very helpful. I found this because I've been doing business for a very long time. I found that a lot of people feel like someone else needs to come out and actually say to them, you are an expert at this. Nereida, here's a certificate. Nereida, you are now an expert at this and you now have the power to go out and build a business around this. A lot of people sit around and they wait for someone else to come to them and say, you are now an expert, but the truth is that never happens. And if you sit around waiting for that time to happen, you'll end up being 80, 90 years old and it will still not happen. You won't go anywhere. I like to call this the power of self-appointment, and that is that all experts, it doesn't matter, even Michael Jordan, it doesn't matter if you're an athlete or if you're doing things that's not even related to business. If you're an expert at anything or if you're a thought leader in anything, it doesn't start by someone else coming to you and telling you, giving you the permission to do what you need to do. People don't hand you permission. It all begins with you standing up and appointing yourself to that role. If you're wondering, I don't think I'm good enough to become an expert and helping janitors get yearly clients and yearly commercial clients, if that was your niche, or maybe your niche is rap or health and fitness or mentoring entrepreneurs. If you think, well, I don't know if I'm good enough to go out there and stand up and call myself an expert at this, let me tell you that every expert starts with self-appointment. Nobody told Michael Jordan in the early days, hey Michael Jordan, you are amazing. You're the best possible player in the world. In fact, people told him the opposite. People told him to quit. People told him, including his coach, told him he was useless and to quit. Everyone told him to quit. Everyone told him he was horrible. If he had listened to them, he'd never be anywhere. But he didn't listen and he appointed himself. He said, I am going to be the best and this is my thing. And no one came up to me and said, Nereida, you'll be really good at helping entertainers and educators get clients. No one said that at all. People didn't say that at all. And I had to appoint myself and tell myself I am that expert, and I had to step up and do that for myself. That's what you need to do for yourself right now. Now you have the opportunity to start or scale your own entertainment and education business. I've given you the proven map, and the Affluent Mentor program is the best thing in the world at what it does. It helps you start and scale an entertainment and education business from scratch, and it maps out how you get your high-value clients quickly, and it is the best. There's nothing like it. It's the best in the entire world, and you have the opportunity right now to join the program to get started and to start taking action and get results. But you're going to come up against this. You're going to come up against the fears and maybe think you're not good enough or to do it at all. I can tell you that you are going to think you're not good enough, and you are going to have to appoint yourself. You're going to have to stand up and say, I am good enough. I am going to figure this out. I'm going to trust the process. I'm going to get through this, and I'm going to start and scale my own entertainment or education business. It all begins with self-appointment. It begins with you standing up and saying, I'm going to do it. And if you wait for someone else to come and hand you permission, that time will never come, and you're always going to stay where you are. Starting right now is the best time, the best way I can really handle the third fear, which is I'm not good enough. And this ties into the example I gave about Sophia and her family and her failing English in the US, but really making millions teaching English in China. The same sort of thing. It's less about the skills you have, and it's more about the market and the problems you're solving. Because at the end of the day, if I could summarize business in just one simple sentence, it would be this: solve people's problems and get paid for it. All we really do in this program is finding a niche, finding what problems they have, finding a really big one, and figuring out how we can solve that problem with our advice. And then sometimes we have the skills necessary to provide that service, and sometimes we don't. We have to go out and learn them, but it's still easy to go and get those skills. And then we're solving a specific problem for a specific niche market, and we're getting paid for solving it. So we are providing real value to other people and other businesses, and we're getting paid money in return. So everything we're doing in the entertainment and education business is above board. We're not exploiting any loopholes, gimmicks, or anything like that, but providing real world honest value and getting paid in return. A lot of people have been able to make a lot of money with this. That's pretty much wraps up the training video for today on these big 3 problems. I don't have a niche, or I don't know if my skills are good enough, or I don't know if I'm good enough to do this. That pretty much wraps up this training, talking about the common questions I received, which is about the niche, about no skills, and not being good enough. And what I want to talk about is the Affluent Mentor program. On the training, you would have noticed I opened up registrations for my brand new Affluent Mentor program, and what it is a 6-week online course that you have access to for life, which goes through everything in detail, and it shows you how to start and scale your own entertainment or education business. We show you how to get your clients, start your own course, and scale it and sell it. This is done in a 6-week program. It's a step-by-step process. You will find your niche, craft your offer, everything from A to Z on how to start and scale your own entertainment and education business and grow it to 7 figures. Right now, registrations are still open, and what I encourage you to do right now is below this video there is a button. Click that button and schedule a breakthrough strategy session. This session is free, and you will be speaking with me personally about your business goals and desires and on how to scale your business and your finances. This program is the real deal, and it will help you start and scale your own entertainment or education business from scratch. I have mentioned before, but I've been in business since 2013, and I help entertainers and educators start and scale their 7-figure businesses. All because of this training. I have helped students quit their 9-to-5 jobs and start entertainment and education businesses, and I have helped them enjoy a life of freedom by implementing what I call the Live Life Happy formula. This training will help you immensely, and compared to doing it on your own, the difference is like night and day. If you go out at this alone, if you just try to get your clients on your own, if you're trying to hold consultations on your own, you're going to mess it up. You're going to fall over, and you're going to burn through many years and thousands of dollars. That's the simple way to put it. In Affluent Mentor, I walk you through step by step, and I take you from where you are to the point of 7 figures. It's a 6-week program with a Facebook community and a weekly Q&A calls and email support. There's a lot of support. So I really do encourage you to click that button to go schedule the breakthrough strategy session right now. It's a free call and spaces are limited, so please take action now and get your time slot chosen. Thanks everyone for watching this video. As always, I hope this video delivered some value, and thank you for watching. Definitely schedule your free breakthrough strategy session to learn more about the Affluent 6-week program, where it teaches step by step how to scale to 7 figures. Thank you very much, and I will talk to you soon.